The reason why most businesses fail is unfortunately they're not able to find clients. And that's where the whole world of conversation, networking, understanding the client that you're working with, understanding their perspective and acknowledging their perspective and realizing it's about compromise. So what can you do for them and what can they do for you? It's a relationship. It's based around trust. Now, over the years of creating podcasts, but most importantly with my own work, which is basically building businesses in the creative industries, I've realized one simple thing. Hello and welcome to the Student Art Podcast. I'm your host Ross Baxter, and today is episode 118 of the series. The podcast is a series where I bring on guests in the film and game industries to talk about their journey, thoughts on education, you name it folks, we talk it here on the podcast. If you're new to the show and want to learn what it takes to make it a career, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So today on the show we'll be diving into the world of how to be successful as a freelancer, so going into the world as a sole trader and running your own business. And for many, it can be a very daunting leap to take in one's career. However, we dive into a vast variety of things that I've learned through the mistakes that I've made over the years, to what I've learned through experience, but most importantly through learning from others, through resources such as reading, and we shall take it from there. So the first thing for today's episode that I want to address is a big one, but it's also something that is not to be afraid of, and that is understanding your own ability. So what stage are you at as an artist? Because at the end of the day, we're here to create art, but most importantly make a living and not just survive but also thrive in the creative industries. And I want you to be realistic and honest with your abilities, but also not afraid. It's good to have confidence, it's good to have optimism. It plays such a big part in making your business grow, but most importantly making you grow as an individual. So knowing your skill set. So what do I mean by that? Understanding where you're at the moment, what years do you have under your belt. Sometimes you don't even need to have lots of experience under your belt to go as a sole trader. The reason why I'm addressing this is simply based on the fact that I think it's important to know where you stand and understand your worth. And we'll be diving into that main topic of understanding your worth in just a second. So one of the biggest things when it comes to starting your own business that you need to first know is, what is your target market? Are you going to dive into vehicle design, possibly characters, maybe you're an environment artist, or possibly maybe you're a rigger? And this is a very important place to start, because at the end of the day, I highly believe in Pareto's law. So have you guys ever heard of Pareto's law, which is the 80-20 principle? To me, it's one of the most important things to address when it comes to starting your business. Because it's all about gaining traction and gaining the right customers over time. So when it comes to identifying your target market, we have to take a step back and reflect on our situation. So for example, like I was saying just a second ago, understand your abilities, but also figure out, right, where is your audience? Are they in Discord communities? Are they on Amazon? Where can you find them? Are they on Instagram? Are they on YouTube? Is it local people that you're trying to target? Or maybe you're struggling to find work or consulting locally. Therefore, maybe you're going to have to go online where the vast majority of people are and build a network of the right clients so that you can potentially build your business through that. And I think a lot of people think that it's all about the amount of clients, but unfortunately it's not. It's all about the right clients and being patient with it. I firmly believe, and it's something I'm going to be talking about in a lot more depth later, is that sometimes you just need to focus on your business one day a week. Get as many of the mistakes out as possible. Figure things out. Build that strong foundation so you're able to put yourself in a position that you're comfortable. At the end of the day, I feel through my experience that a lot of when it comes to talks or interviews or the way things are taught in the world of business, people always tend to come across as very daunting. But I think it's actually very straightforward when it comes to freelance. It's not a scary world, because at the end of the day, you're basically recording your income, you're recording your expenses. The reason why most businesses fail is unfortunately they're not able to find clients. And that's where the whole world of conversation, networking, understanding the client that you're working with, understanding their perspective and acknowledging their perspective and realizing it's about compromise. So what can you do for them and what can they do for you? It's a relationship. It's based around trust, and I will discuss about how important that is later in today's episode. So, like I said, understand your own abilities, identify your target market. So, where is your audience? What platform are they on? How do they buy that product and service on that platform? And also building the right network around your target niche. Now, over the years of creating podcasts, but most importantly with my own work, which is basically building businesses in the creative industries, I've realized one simple thing, and it took me years to accept this, but when it comes to content and when it comes to building a business, whether you're an artist or whatever profession that may be, the more narrow a niche that you are, the more easy it is. When you branch out to a vast variety of different things, it's easy to be confused with a lot of things going on, like the paradox of choice. When you have too many things going on, it's hard to balance. It's hard to see the mistakes that's going on right in front of you, but most importantly, it's harder to grow, I feel. When it comes to building your business, you want people to know exactly what you do in just a few seconds. It should be as simple and clear as possible for them to know, right, that this person is the environment artist for something very specific. Maybe it's exteriors, you're the exterior artist. Maybe you're a master at sculpting. Maybe it's furniture sculpting. Like for me, one of my favorite things is creating ornate furniture. That's a passion of mine. It's always been a passion of mine. So if I was wanting to build a business around becoming a sculptor, maybe in ZBrush, I would really focus on, first of all, where's my skill set lie? How good am I at that skill set? And how is there an audience for it? And if not, can I be the first person to create an audience for it? There's one very powerful rule in the world of marketing, and it's called the law of the category. And it basically means being first to a market. Yes, you do not have to be first in any given market. However, it does play an advantage if you do learn the basics of marketing. And I think as artists, we focus so much on the art side of things. For example, going through education, we're focusing on the portfolio, and it makes sense why we focus on the portfolio. But when it comes to understanding how the business aspect of the world works, and particularly the game industry and the film game industry works, it's a whole other kettle of fish. We need to realize that at the end of the day, yes, we may be an artist, but it's a business. We're providing a service. We're getting paid for that service, or we're paying people to work for us, etc. If you're an employer, etc., and you've got your own limited company or whatever it may be. So I highly believe in niching down, so knowing your target niche. And once again, build your business around the art that you want to make. And one of the things that I want to address when it comes to this point here is it's easy to get stressed or to get nervous and to say yes to things that we don't want to say yes to. So, for example, say you're starting out your business and maybe you've built a little foundation. So you've got a little network built through the years of study and just life as a whole. And you were always the environment artist. Okay, so you've built an environment art. This is where you've built your business from. You're thinking about going freelance as an environment artist. Maybe you're a senior environment artist and you're thinking of taking that next step as a sole trader, as a freelancer in the creative industries. And you realize, wait, there's some character art prop work that is an option, or maybe it's character art that somebody is wanting some work done. Now, you may have the skill set and the ability to create those props or those assets for that potential client. However, that client is not suitable for your target niche. Yes, it's good. Some people, when say if money is low, some people may think it's a good thing to accept that work. But this is why patience is vital and delivering on what you say you will. When it comes to building a successful business, it's very clear and very simple in order to gain traction. And some people may disagree with this, but I think out of all my experience, it's never failed me. If you deliver on what you say you will, and you're passionate about what you do, so if there's a very particular thing that you want to do full time, and if you focus on it and you don't get distracted by other potential clients that are not related to your source, you will grow. Keep focused on the task at hand and try not to get distracted by potential other options if it's not related to what you want to do, because what will happen is now please put your suggestions if you disagree with any of this in the episode. It always raises more interesting discussions. But I feel that if you agree to extra work that is not related to your target niche, it then results in word of mouth referrals, people referring you to things that you don't want to be referred for. And then you build a reputation for things that you don't want to be working on. And I think you have to realize that this is something that you've decided to build for yourself. You have to remember that it's a business for yourself as well. It's, yes, you want to help clients and you want to create art, but you want to create art that you are wanting to put time into. So I feel that understanding that is very vital. So once again, build your business around the art that you want to make. Okay, one other thing that I want to get off my chest today, because I think it's important for you to realize, to make it clear that it's not as stressful or as daunting as it has to be. So for many years, I would always look at the numbers. So I'd always be looking at the follower count or the network connections or the people I had around me. Now, just remember, it's not always about how many followers and how many clients you have. It's about having the right ones. So some people could have 100,000 followers on their social media pages, possibly even 1 million. But if it's not the right one, then those audience is not going to go to your website for your product and services if they're not the correct ones. It's about building superfans, and superfans is another incredible book that I highly recommend to read, which basically talks about creating a brand, creating the right brand, and basically the philosophy of building 1,000 followers is all you need, of loyal followers to build a successful business, which was really fascinating to me. So if you have your 1,000 followers and you've got your 80-20 principle, so your 20% of your clients is creating 80% of the results, and then you focus your efforts on those 20%, and then figure out, right, do you need to then narrow down on the other 80. So next thing, once again, how do your clients buy your product and services? What are the common habits and traits within the creative industries, within your sector, that's common? So you've always got a subscription-based model. So sometimes people will be, maybe they want to be subscribed to a newsletter. Maybe you've got a course. Maybe there's so many different options this could be. So you have to do your research. Be patient with it and see how do they simply buy it. Is it nice and simple? Are you just providing consulting, and you prepare a contract that has maybe 3 to 5 options that states nice and simple your responsibilities, your client's responsibilities, and then your terms and agreement, and you build it simply from there. And we'll dive into that in a lot more depth in just a minute, because there's a few fascinating discussions through the people I've been fortunate to be taught by over the years, and we shall see how things progress. So the next big question for the second part of today's episode is all going to be about finances and the big daunting question of how much to charge. So first things first, once again, going back to the most important statement, and the first statement I said of today's episode was understand your abilities. But the thing I want to then attach onto this is never sell yourself short. Everyone who's tuning in this, you guys all have creative abilities. You're all incredible at what you do, and even if you don't think you are, to give it time, be patient, and keep working at it. Get better at your craft, but also realize it's not just the art. It's also the learning how to believe in yourself. Now, I understand it can be incredibly daunting to negotiate or even just have that first discussion with a potential client, especially if it's something that you really want. It's easy to get nervous. I've had my moments many times in my career where I've been in a situation where I was stressed, where I was nervous to take that next step. But I will honestly say to you, the more you do it, the better you become, and the more natural it becomes, and the more relaxed you become in that situation. So never sell yourself short. Never put a number on work if you think it's generally too low. Because remember, there's a lot of facets when it comes to charging a day rate or an hourly rate, or maybe it's a project-based rate. So once again, believe in yourself. And I understand, once again, it takes time. For me, the thing that helped me get a lot more confidence was, believe it or not, was the first job, one of the first jobs I ever had, which was working on tills. Just getting into that vibe of constantly talking to people. So give that a go, and let me know how that journey is coming along. So research local artists. Is there people that are in your area that are doing the thing that you want to do? This is the power of connections. It's the reason why LinkedIn was game changing for me as well. I began to build a strong foundation of incredible people that not only helped me, but I helped them, and we worked together and we grew together. And it's always the thing that I feel is vital in our lives, is realize that we don't have to do this alone. And there's so many people out there willing to help you. And if you do your research, see what possibilities are available in your area. And if there's not, there's infinite resources constantly available to you online. There's so many Discord communities of people willing to share their experience and their mistakes. And the same thing applies to LinkedIn. There might be possibly things at your university or your college, and if you don't have that available, figure out what books could you read. Once again, I will always talk about my favorite channel, which is Rick Kettner. He's provided an insane amount of incredible resources over the years that is being game changing for my career in the world of business. So do your due diligence and make sure to research. Now, the next part, when it comes to your finances and understanding how much to charge, well, it all starts off with calculating your living costs, your business expenses, possibly some insurance on top of that. And don't be afraid to add a little extra, because at the end of the day, we need to survive, but most importantly, thrive. I don't want you to just be scraping by. I want you to make sure that you're gaining a profit, your business is gaining a profit, and you're able to live comfortably and at peace. And I think that's vital. Obviously, we don't want to get greedy. We have to be realistic as well at times. But like I said, understand your situation. What money's coming into your business? What money's going out of your business? Do you have too many expenses? Is the income that's coming into your business enough? But also realize there's good expenses. So good expenses are your software, because that is your tool. That is where you create your craft. So make a list. Calculate the money coming in, the money coming out, and then that will give you a bigger picture of what you're going to have to charge in order to provide your consulting as a freelancer. And then it will see where you stand for the first year to the 5 years, and then you can start calculating future projections to see where you're going to be or what you're going to have to change to actually get to where you want to be. So once again, like I said, calculate those living costs, your business expenses, and is your particular craft as a freelancer require any insurance, etc. If you're in the UK, I highly recommend to check the gov.uk website, so the HMRC. So that's where you register as a sole trader to become a freelancer, and make sure to do your research if you're in another country to figure out how do you find the best resource for that. But everyone can check it out, so I highly recommend to check that website, in which it provides a vast variety of the rules and regulations in regards to becoming a sole trader, even if you wanted to go into a limited company. So if you wanted to start your own business in the game and film industries with a team that you've built through your early days, or however you've built it, then you can see how that is built on these sites, etc. So next that I want to talk about, this one's been the most game changing for me, and the reason why I'm going to say this is because the way I think is probably most of you are very particular with how I like to get things done. Like, I'm very obsessive with wanting to do things right, and I've always acknowledged that in order to do things right, I have to be patient. So the next point I want to say is personally I recommend building it on the side and focusing on 1 day a week. Now, you can build it, you can go straight into it if you want. However, I do feel that it's important, if that is the case, to have financial savings backed up, so like an emergency savings account of enough resources, and always put extra more than what you think, because you never know what could happen. Always expect the unexpected. Life has its many obstacles that come out of nowhere, so I think it's important to acknowledge that aspect. But the reason why I'm saying this, focus on 1 day a week, is because it allowed me to realize how little I actually knew. And I think that's an important thing to say, is until you've actually done it, like, it's easy to get very optimistic and confident. Now, I'm not saying it's a scary thing, but I will say it's a learning process, just like anything else. Just like you working on your portfolio right now as an artist, things take time, and I was able to learn how to think in the perspective of my clients. So how do clients think? What do they not like to hear? What do they like to hear? And how do I say things in a way that benefits them but also benefits me? And how can I then put that in writing in my contract, in my terms and agreement? And how do I build this contract in a way that's going to be strong, safe, and just reliable over time? So I feel that it's an important thing to be patient and learn those mistakes early on. So I learned all my mistakes in that first year. Obviously, I'm still making mistakes. We always are, but I'm a lot more prepared now. Out of all the years I've been doing this now. So next thing. Okay, so the next thing when it comes to money is when it comes to working with any potential client, it's easy to get caught up in the moment. So, for example, when you have maybe that first consultation, or possibly the third consultation, say you've not charged, you've simply just been talking with this potential client about what could happen. Now, it's easy to agree to things, where it's very easy to say yes, and that's why I think it's important to learn how to say no. I think it's one of the most vital skills you will ever learn, is how to say no with respect. So when it comes to what am I trying to say here? So the point that I'm trying to say is, when it comes to a meeting, say somebody wants to offer an extra feature and you can provide it, just remember to say, right, I can give you this, but it will cost you this. Everything comes at a price, and you have to realize that. We don't want to be agreeing to things that, first of all, maybe you can't agree to. Some people agree to things that they can't, and then that backfires. Because remember, like I said, it's all about creating loyal clients. It's about creating that word of mouth that naturally grows. So organic growth, not just growth that comes through marketing. You are your biggest marketing tool. If you deliver on what you say you will not have to market any of your product or services at all. And I think it was a big reality check. And I think it's important to realize that there's moments when you have to say no. And but if you can do it and you want to do the work that they're offering you, realize it's okay to say, right, I can give you this, but it will cost you this. So everything comes with a price, because remember, your time is everything. Time is your most valuable asset. So use it wisely, be patient with it, but also take a step back. And the best tool when it comes to this situation, when you're in that scenario, is use your ears. Listening is so powerful. So when you're in a consultation meeting, talking to a potential client, get them talking, make them the main focus of the meeting, and learn as much as you can about them. Ask open-ended questions. Figure out, right, how do they think? How do they work with their own staff? Are they the right type of person to be working with for you? Are they the right fit for your target market niche? And if not, you're going to have to possibly move on. But the good thing about that, it's not a bad thing that they weren't the right fit. That's a great learning experience, because that means you're learning. That means you're thinking about, right, what's right for your business, what's going to help your business grow to that next level and grow exponentially. That's a beautiful thing. That's a great tool. That's a great thing to learn. So don't take that as a negative. It's a positive. And like I said, don't agree to clients if it's not the right client. Okay, so right at the start, the first opening statement was how to be successful as a freelancer. Now, this goes back to the first one of the main points of all. Deliver on what you said you were deliver on what you said you will. Word of mouth referrals will play such a massive thing. If you deliver great work, you'll be fine. And if you're still trying to get to that level, it's a learning process. We all take time. Think from their perspective as well, and not just your own. So acknowledge that once again, they're paying you for a service. So realize that it's about compromise. It's that relationship back and forth. And an incredible tool, and I talked about this in last week's episode, or the last episode, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People, an incredible book by Dale Carnegie. And it's all about, literally as the title suggests, it talks about 6 main principles or techniques to get better with conversation with people. One of them being genuinely interested in the person you're talking to, using your smile and having it being genuine with your smile, showing interest in the person's interest, and most importantly, listening, using your ears. Listening is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever use. Unfortunately, in education, we're always taught how to read and how to write. But the 2 other tools are the most important, which is how to speak and how to listen. But listening is the king. Listening is the main one to get better at, because it's your resource to learn. Knowledge is power. I firmly believe that. It's helped me so much over the years. So use your ears as a tool to get better, to provide better service, to help people better, and to help yourself better. So like I said, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's the book that I suggest for you guys in today's episode. Right, a next one, which was a nice fun one that I learned, was when it comes to trying to gain more clients, because like I said right at the start, the hardest part with any business is having work coming in the first place. So in your contract terms and agreement, right at the bottom, please refer me to your contacts. So at the end of every consultation, at the end of every project that you've worked as a freelance, from maybe it was 2 weeks, maybe it was 2 days, maybe it was 2 months, maybe it was 2 years, right at the end, they have to refer you to somebody else that they think is the right fit for you. So that means that there's an ongoing process of bringing clients in. So there's money coming in, and you're not going to have to stress about potential work being lost. And because sometimes we work with clients that just doesn't work out, but if you have that in your terms and agreement, that's a nice little safety net for you to be comfortable going forward. So please refer me to your contacts. Nice and simple. It doesn't have to be really anything else in that section of the contract. So understand time. Now I know this is a daunting one. Trust me, it's been scary for me as well over the years, making the mistake of not understanding my limitations. All I used to do when I was in uni was work, and realizing that was not the solution. It took me a long time to realize that working smarter was the right answer. It took me till I was 24 to learn this. It took me many years to learn that mistake, to work smart. During my college days, even secondary school days, everybody was always teaching me, telling me, Ross, stop working too hard. You're overworking yourself. It's not going to be It's not healthy for yourself. And they were right. And I feel that this is an important part of today's episode, because we can only do so much. Sometimes we have to realize, right, it's time to take a step back. Our mental health is more important. Your body speaks for itself. And I think there's a lot more important things. Yes, I know we have to take money in to survive, etc. But if you're patient with this and you learn from those mistakes, you'll be in a much better place. So understand your limitations. Know that you're not invincible. None of us are. So learn from that. And lastly, when it comes to this section, is learning how to say no the right way. So learning how to say no will be game changing for you, and it will, like I said, make it easier for you to grow in your business. So 3 random things I want to now bring up. Well, not random, but as we're getting on to the final section of today's episode. So if you guys have been tuning in, make sure to subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated. So the next things that I want to talk about, so have an emergency savings account. Now, common through just, I don't know if it's just been a trend for many years, but one of the things when it comes to your emergency savings account is they normally suggest having £6,000 or dollars, I believe. It's one or the other. And basically it's like 3 to 6 months of that breathing space backed up, just in case you need to have that extra funding to get through maybe a difficult time, or try to figure out how to make the next decision, so you can think it clearly. So having an emergency savings account is important. Next, having a business account for your business so that you're able to record your practical books, so record your income and expenses possibly on Excel, and use that as your paperwork if you do have to then send them off. Having a separate business email, so proof for intellectual property. So maybe you want to have evidence to talk about trademarks or patents, and that could help you in the long run, but most importantly also to help organize your emails and keep them separate from your personal email. It saves a lot of time and it keeps structure with your business when it comes to paperwork. Now, the last section of today's episode, folks, we're going to be diving into the world of preparing a contract. So the first thing I want to talk about is keeping it to 2 pages. So keeping it simple. It's common, and I don't know where it all began. I don't know if it's just been a thing for just since the dawn of time, but every contract I've ever read has always been like this like book of 20 pages filled of words that I tend to not understand, written in a language I don't know of Mordor, and I'm so confused. By the way, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, if you've not realized. But yeah, keep it simple. Like I keep my things to 2 pages. I keep things nice, clear and concise, and I try not to overcomplicate it for my clients. I make it simple. I tell them what I provide, what I need from them, etc., and then I provide them with the options, 3 to 5 options, which I'll talk in just a second, and then my terms and agreement. So the third thing I want to suggest as well, particularly for our industry, is learn intellectual property. So once again, on the HMRC website, so the gov.uk resource, learn the basics of this. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in our industry, yes, automatically if you're creating the product, it is automatically owned by you. But depending on what you're creating, if you're using certain resources, etc., it's important to understand how these things work, just so that you're keeping things safe, and just so that nothing props up that you're unaware of. So it's always good to expect the unexpected. I can never say it enough, just so it provides you some comfort and closure going forward. So the next thing I want to talk about is the paradox of choice. So I learned this through, I'm trying to remember the podcast I was listening to, but it was a podcast for consultants. And basically what he was suggesting was simply have a maximum, 3 to 5 choices of different possibilities or different options for the person you're going to be working for, so the client, etc., or the business. And the reason why they were suggesting 3 to 5 was when you give more options, not only is it more complicated for you, but it becomes more difficult for a client to choose. Now, if you like this client, that you like the client that you're going to be potentially working with, you want things to be as simple and easy for that process, for them to sign that contract, so you can get that that money coming in for your business, and to keep that cash flow going. Because if you complicate your contract and make it harder for them to understand, that's why I was always struggling with contracts over the years, because people like to use jargon to come across, they overcomplicate it, and I don't think it ever works in their favor. It backfires, because then it makes you question what you're reading, and then you start looking up things to understand it, and it's delaying the process. And you want to make things as efficient as possible. It's like being in a production pipeline in a game studio or a film studio. You want to cut out the waste. An incredible book to read on this is The Lean Startup, which talks about the lean manufacturing process for one of the biggest manufacturing companies in Tokyo. I believe it's in Japan. Yeah, Tokyo's in Japan. I know that, but in terms of the book's based around Japan, and it's an amazing read. I highly recommend to check it out when it comes to learning how to be more efficient in your production for your business. So, like I said, keep your options to a maximum of 5. My personal choice is 3, and take it from there. Now, the next one, learn Excel. Just the basics. You don't have to learn a lot. So learn Microsoft Excel and understanding the basics of cash flow. Cash flow is not a scary thing. It's literally all you have to do is you're recording your income and you're recording your expenses. It's as a sole trader, unless you're hiring a member of staff, then things begin to change and things begin to get more complicated. But if it's just you as an independent freelancer, then you don't have to overcomplicate things. Keep it nice and simple. It's literally your money coming in, your money coming out, and that is it. And that's all you have to keep a record of that. And I do suggest having both copies, paper and also digital. With today's, obviously, with this generation, obviously everything is in information age, so we're a lot more used to working things online. So if you don't have paperwork, you no longer need it. It's no longer a requirement. But make sure to check it out and take it from there. So next thing that I want to talk about is keep a record of everything. So document your emails confirming certain discussions, etc. Because you never know what could prop up. It's better to be prepared and to know where you stand, and keeping everything concise, possibly even color managing it. So if there's you want to put things in folders, maybe through your email and in your paperwork for your practical books, then great. It makes things a lot more easier going forward. So you could have 2 copies of those practical books, so a paper and a digital one at that. Okay, so next on the list, once again, payment terms. So when's your fees getting invoiced? So keep this nice and simple. So it is an invoice within 28 days. What is your terms and agreement that you want to put? Now there's rules and regulations for this as well. So make sure to research this and understand. Obviously, there's also the possible option of putting a late payment fee. Like, you want to make sure that your clients are paying on time, and there is a cap of how much you can charge for a late payment fee. There's a certain percentage. I can't remember off the top of my head, so, but the reason why I do suggest putting this in is because it gives it shows that you're expected than expected. It gives you comfort knowing that there's things put in place to make things more secure for your business, to make sure that the money is coming in and that potential clients aren't going to be causing any difficulty for yourself. Just remember, people don't like getting told what to do, but also you have to realize it is a business, and in a business you need to have cash flow, you need to have money coming in, because without money coming in you can't survive, and that's why it's good to have these things in order so that things keep moving forward. Now, today's episode, we've covered a vast variety of things. If there's anything in particular that you want to be you want to raise, make sure to put a comment in the comment section below. I'm always happy to respond, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this podcast progresses going forward. If you have any questions, like I said, comment down below. If you're new to the podcast, as always, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And with that said, folks, we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.